The Sabbath makes us rich. Now, how does it make us rich? Our Father in heaven has given us a day to rest. God, who owns everything, has said, you're done working for today. You're done. It's time to rest. Historically, leisure and relaxation was only for the wealthy. It was. It was hard for just a regular man and woman to take a break. And God, knowing this, knowing that there would be differences in ability to earn and earning, says to all of us, you all are worthy of rest. In Nehemiah chapter 13, verses 15 through 22, it reads as this. In those days, I saw in Judah people treading wine presses on the Sabbath and bringing in heaps of grain, loading them on donkeys, also wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of loads, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. I warned them on the day when they sold food. Tyrians also, who lived in the city, brought in fish and all kinds of goods, sold them on the Sabbath to the people of Judah in Jerusalem itself. Then I confronted the nobles of Judah and said to them, what is this evil thing that you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers act in this way? And did not our God bring in all this disaster on us and on this city? And now you are bringing in more wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath? As soon as it began to grow dark at the gates of Jerusalem before the Sabbath, I commanded that the doors should be shut, and I gave orders that they should not be opened until the Sabbath. I stationed some of my servants at the gates, that no load might be brought in on the Sabbath day. Then the merchants and the sellers of all kinds of wares lodged outside Jerusalem once or twice. But I warned them and said to them, why do you lodge outside the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. There's where that phrase comes from. From that time on, they did not come on the Sabbath. Then I commanded the Levites that they should purify themselves and come and guard the gates and keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember this also in favor, O my God, and spare me according to the greatness of your steadfast love. So you see several things happening here in this text. Nehemiah was in charge of rebuilding the walls. Nehemiah was the leader of this area. He was also the prophet of God who was speaking this text, but he ended this also being the leader. And there are several groups he addresses here. In verse 17, I confronted the nobles and said to them, this is an evil thing you are doing. So those are people who are leaders. We're to tell the leaders around us, God has ordained and has seen fit to say there's a day where things stop. So if you're in charge of an organization, you have somebody you know who's in charge of an organization, it is time for them to rest one day a week. For the merchants, and so if you're a salesman, a businessman, or you're involved in that, they were told to not sell their wares that day. We see also, he put guards in front of the gates. And so the people, guards at that time would have been your soldiers, your police officers. And so while merchants were told to stop and leaders were told to stop, we do see here those that maintain order continued to work. We also see here that the Levites, those who did the sacrifices, also continued to work. Now you might be saying, well, he was saying there's the wrath of God here. The wrath of God was spilled onto Jesus on the cross, so we don't have to worry about the wrath of God anymore. But these actions still apply, of taking a break, of taking a rest. And if you're in a place where you are in charge, I would commend you, give your employees the wealth of God to have them rest.